Our kids go to the same school together.
People always talk about Ralphie or Coco, but the most satisfying beating in The Sopranos wasn't theirs. It was Davey Scatino's, and here's why. In a show filled with blood, betrayal, and more than a few well-earned bruisings,
Just got worse.
few moments land with the grim satisfaction of Tony Soprano finally unleashing his fists on Davey Scatino.
Davey, this isn't a game for you.
Oh, come on. What are the chances of me getting close to a game like this again? Come on, Anthony, let me sit in just once.
Out of all the beatings in the series, Davey stands out as the most justified. Not because Tony was particularly noble in delivering it, but because Davey practically begged for it at every step. The tragedy of Davey is that he never once grasped the magnitude of the mess he was in.
Like the pimp says to his hoes, keep them coming.
Hey, Rich, that envelope's 2C shy.
Here was a man treating mafia debt like an overdue blockbuster rental. When he fell behind with Richie Aprile, he shrugged it off with a smirk and the immortal line, "That envelope is 2C's shy," as if stiffing a made man was the equivalent of forgetting to tip a bartender. Richie, to his credit, didn't stab him in the eye on the spot, a rare display of restraint. Given such mercy, a rational man might have taken the hint. Davey did the opposite.
Say hello to Davey Scatino.
How you doing?
Give him 5 boxes of ziti.
He wormed his way into Tony's executive card game, explicitly told not to, and then had the gall to steal from Tony while he slept. In a world where people are whacked for less than an offhand remark, Davey treated the mob like a casual lending library.
Get up or I'm gonna rip your fucking head off. Get up. Come on.
The breaking point came when, already drowning in debt to Richie, Davey started missing payments to Tony as well. When Tony confronted him, Davey reached for the most laughable lifeline imaginable. "Our kids go to the same school together."
Our kids go to the same school together.
As if PTA meetings and bake sales could erase tens of thousands in unpaid ziti. Was Tony supposed to pat him on the back and say, "You're right, Davey, all is forgiven"? Let's forget the 45 grand. Go enjoy the science fair. The smugness was astonishing. That line alone sealed his fate, and Tony's eventual beating became the only language Davey was capable of understanding.
Oh, come on. What are the chances of me getting close to a game like this again?
What makes Davey's fall particularly pitiful is that Tony gave him more latitude than most. Time after time, Tony extended patience far beyond what Richie, or almost anyone else, would have tolerated.
Come on, Anthony, let me sit in just once. Pat.
Yet Davey consistently mistook leniency for immunity. When he smirked at Tony and muttered, "I'm tapped out," it wasn't just reckless. It was poking a bear already circling him.
If after one day you don't give me every penny, I'm gonna send somebody down to your joint every Saturday.
Davey's mistake wasn't only underestimating Tony. He also overestimated the concept of goodwill in the mob. Goodwill doesn't exist. These men are predators, not partners.
Saw your wife out there alone. I figured you for the trotters.
Davey thought his history with Tony, his suburban dad persona, or his status as a fellow Little League parent granted him immunity. Instead, it made him the perfect mark. An addict who thought he was untouchable, and therefore utterly vulnerable. Some viewers wonder why Tony and Richie didn't simply take a stake in Davey's sporting goods store instead of bleeding it dry in a bust-out.
I'm gonna let you sleep one day. Then you're gonna get the fuck up and you're gonna go get my $45,000.
After all, $45,000 seems like the kind of debt that could be folded into a silent partnership, producing steady, long-term income. But this line of thinking ignores two facts. First, Davey didn't even own the store. His wife did.
Stolen airline tickets, constituting mail fraud, wire fraud, and any other federal violation.
Second, the mob doesn't do legitimate business unless it's a convenient cover for illegitimate profit. Busting out the store was fast, easy, and guaranteed money. Long-term retail management? That's work, with risk attached. A bust-out guarantees immediate returns. Sell the inventory at half price, saddle Davey with bank loans he'll never repay, and pocket tens of thousands in profit within weeks. Compare that with option 2, becoming the business partner of a compulsive gambler, waiting on meager checks and convincing Richie Aprile not to murder him in the meantime. No rational mobster would take the second option. Tony didn't. He grabbed the cash, flipped the store, and left Davey's wife holding the bag. Brutal, yes, but brutally efficient.
Do business with outside friends. You understand.
Hey, do I have to show your high school prom picture to these guys?
This is also why Davey's sob story never resonates beyond surface pity. Yes, he's an addict. Yes, gambling is an illness. But addicts don't get mulligans with mobsters. Addiction explains his behavior. It doesn't excuse it.
Eric, give me a keys. Why? There's mud all over the tires.
What? Dave, what's wrong?
His actions mirror those of a junkie, smiling through the lies, pretending everything is under control, stealing from everyone around him to feed the next fix. When Tony let him into the executive game, it was no different than handing a heroin addict a syringe and saying, "Don't worry, you can pay me later." The outcome was inevitable.
So get a broom and sweep up some of that shit over there, especially on the Silvio, all
They
right?
must have put the horns on me.
Barry King's bets.
What's the bet?
800.
Still, there's a certain dark comedy in Davey's naivety. Watching him try to hide behind Richie at the poker table, turning his head like a schoolboy caught cheating on a test, is peak Sopranos humor. His delusion that Tony might let it all slide because our kids go to the same school remains one of the most unintentionally hilarious lines in the series.
I'm sorry, Tony. I wouldn't do anything to insult you. Our kids go to the same school together.
It perfectly distills his worldview, as if suburban ties, Cub Scout meetings, and PTA bake sales carried weight in a world ruled by blood and debt. Davey's collapse also underscores a larger theme in The Sopranos, the illusion of legitimate community ties.
It's what my old man would have called a Wonder Bread Wop, you know.
Men like Davey, Artie Bucco, or the Wonder Bread Wops Tony golfs with all make the same mistake. They believe Tony operates under the same suburban codes of friendship and goodwill. He doesn't. Tony plays the role of neighbor, father, and friend when it suits him, but when it comes time to collect, those facades crumble. Davey's insistence on seeing Tony as a fellow dad rather than a mob boss was the ultimate miscalculation. One might argue that other beatings in the series were more deserved. Ralphie's savage comeuppance after Tracy's death, or Coco's brutal punishment for insulting Meadow, certainly rank high. But those carried layers of personal hatred or paternal fury.
Davey's beating was different. It wasn't about passion, revenge, or honor. It was about reality crashing down on a man who thought he could outsmile the mob. In that sense, it was the cleanest, most well-deserved beating of them all.
I'm opening my mail, and it's a lawsuit. It's a fucking lien on the building. They're gonna close me down.
Davey, not fucking now, okay?
They're gonna know after this that it's fraud. I'm gonna go to jail for this.
Get...
And yet, there's a perverse kind of sympathy that lingers. Watching Tony hammer his fists into Davey's smug, clueless face is satisfying, but also faintly tragic. Here was a man who thought he was threading the needle between addiction and responsibility, hiding debts from his wife, gambling behind her back, convincing himself he could sneak a few hundred from the register without anyone noticing. In reality, he was already ruined. Tony was simply the one to show him. Davey's fate also speaks to Tony's own pathology. Tony knew exactly how weak Davey was. He dangled credit like bait, fully aware of where it would lead.
You told me not to get in the game. Why'd you let me do it?
Well, I knew you had this business here, Dave. It's my nature. Frog and the scorpion, you know?
The frog and the scorpion parable comes to mind. Davey was always going to gamble. Tony was always going to exploit him. Both men played their parts, and both ended up where they were destined, one bleeding, the other counting his profits.
The only area Eric's light in is the arts. This performance stuff's gonna put him over the goal line most schools he's applying.
In the end, Davey Scatino became more than a cautionary tale about gambling. He was the embodiment of misplaced confidence, suburban arrogance, and blind addiction. He overestimated goodwill, underestimated danger, and thought PTA connections could erase mob debts. The result? The most well-deserved beating in The Sopranos.
Planned bankruptcy.
A grown man made a wager. He lost. He made another and lost again. End of story. Leave the envelope. Take the subscribe button.